it's a me.
Jordan.
These days my waves get lost in the ocean. 7 billion swimmers, man, I'm going through the motions. Sent up a flare, need love and devotion. Traded for some faces that I'll never know, notion.
How would you describe Sawyer?
Sawyer is really optimistic, allegedly. I mean, she's sort of sketchy because she did sort of appear out of nowhere one day, so she like low-key might be a murderer. But she, from what we can tell, she seems like she like is a good person, but she's also a little bit creepy because she cares about all these things that nobody cares about, like the earth, being nice to people.
Miss Billington's room, okay? I'm sorry. Public schools don't get funding.
Sawyer's character is good, like Angelica, but she's not overbearing.
No, she's
good.
not.
She has flaws. She's
just naturally a really good person and wants to do good in the world and believes that that the world deserves better than what people are doing to it. She cares about the environment. She's just always sort of seeing the best in people and seeking to make the world a better place. And I think the audience, but also Scout, has a lot to learn from how Sawyer approaches the universe.
She's just like, I feel like she's just very positive almost all the time. So like if she's not, it's this really like jarring thing.
So long ago, I don't remember it.
I know. I was trying to get this thing out of me, and I was like, I don't know.
Remember shit.
Yeah, no, she's super positive. She's like very environmentally focused. She's like very selfless. She doesn't really focus on like the things she wants so much, as she focuses on like the good she can do for other people a lot more.
Selfless is a good word for her.
Yeah, selfless is really good. That's how I would describe her. You got anything else you want to say? No.
As the person who played Sawyer, to me, Sawyer has like two modes. It's either mother mode, where she's yelling at Scout for being stupid, or anyone else for being stupid. And then there's just the fun Sawyer.
I've never met fun Sawyer.
Yeah, because she's only really fun around Eco Club.
Maybe I should try to find the old me. Take me to the places and the people that know me. Trying to just connect, thinking maybe you could show me. There's so many people here, then why am I so alone?
Jordan kind of immediately, as soon as Kristen left for the Air Force Academy, Jordan immediately stepped up. She just knew exactly that we needed somebody else to be the big man behind the schedule. And she was like, okay, I'll do it.
and she was great for that. She did an amazing job.
Yeah.
She also, though, at the same time, she's a lot of fun.
Yeah, Jordan's great. I love hanging out with Jordan.
She's got an awesome sense of humor. Really, it's impossible to not have fun when you're on set with Jordan.
And what's interesting is I knew Jordan before I started 2, but I didn't know her super well. Like, we weren't like really close, but like through the production of 2, like we found out like how similar we are, and like we've become a lot closer friends since we've been filming 2. And like it's just I really look forward to filming with Jordan because I know it's always gonna be a lot of fun. But we're still gonna get stuff done.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And she finds a really good balance with that.
There's there's the two sets of twins, the Stevens and the Coopers. The Coopers were always really, really hyper and like climbing all over things and like doing athletic things, and we were always just like sitting there like,
this is Steven's phobia.
It's really fun. Like, working with her is super fun as long as you have like time. So if you block off like 4 hours to do like a short scene, you're good.
Jordan can get kind of stressed out.
Yeah.
But so could the rest of us. But Jordan was also, she was really easy to work with, like easier than some of the other people.
Yeah.
Wrong names. Kristen, no. I'm kidding.
Yeah, no. I think like at the beginning it was like such a fun thing for her. Like she would get distracted really easily. And then after I left, it sounds like she got
kind
like
of zoned
way
in as
more
the
intense.
new you.
She zoned in as the new, like, gotta organize things, gotta be. So she would get more stressed.
Yeah. She also, I thought her grasp on Sawyer was really good. I think, like, Sawyer, like, at face value, wasn't a super interesting character. But then she took it and she added all these really cool dimensions to the character that I think were really interesting.
Oh, Sawyer's also a nerd. I forgot to say that.
She's a nerd.
Yeah.
Geek.
Is she? Because she loves Marvel. That's a nerdy thing. She loves.
It's
no,
geek.
nerd and geek
Geek
is
and
like,
nerd are not the same thing.
No, I'm not saying they're the same thing. She's a nerd.
She's a geek.
I think Jordan had some of the biggest character development of everyone on the cast. Just because at the start, when we were first like filming the pilot and trying to figure out how it worked, I feel like we kept on laughing like when we were around each other and messing up more so than anybody else.
Probably, yeah.
But the thing is, I remember Kristen was like, oh, because there was like something we were filming at the beginning of the day before the scene started, and she was like, oh, Jordan keeps busy, we don't have time for this. But sorry, Kristen. But the funny thing is that like by the time we hit like our stride in the summer, Jordan was like there. I was gone for a trip to Sri Lanka, and then I came back. And it was really weird because she was just like, yeah, I casually scheduled this. Yeah, she's just on top of everything. And and she's just like moving through her scenes, like acting really well, like really quickly. And I was just like, what's happening?
In real life, she's really fun to work with, and her car is like our prop car. And so she's always just sort of driving around with a knife man mask and a fake gun and a book and like all these props that we need.
Yep.
And it's just a lot of fun to work with her, and she had like this fake blood that was in her cup holder of her car for the longest time. And then we ended up using it, and it's quality. Jordan's really fun to work with, and I got to teach her actual martial arts for a bit, which was really fun. And she also is a much better actress than she thinks she is. She gets down on herself about certain scenes sometimes and how weird she looks or whatever. But A, sometimes it works for the character, and B, she is actually much better at things than she thinks she is. It's a lot of fun to work with her.
I think this is a recurring theme. Olivia just thinks everyone is a better actor than they think.
Because they are. It's an accurate statement. Everybody thinks they're a worse actor than they think they are.
Yeah, I take pride in scheduling the most efficient day into history with, what was it, like 35 scenes? In one afternoon. Yeah. It wasn't even a full day.
That was wild.
Yeah. What is the question? What's it like to work with me?
Yeah, what's it like to work with you?
But working with Jordan and I are very different creatively, but I have a lot of respect for her and everything that she's done for like the schedule. As a producer, Jordan's the kind of person you want to have because she is very on task and is very together with how she wants to do things. And I feel like Jordan and I have like successfully, delegated experiences within being producers, and we work to each other's strengths. She's been very good to work with as a producer. I don't have any scenes with her as an actor, so I don't really have experience.
Yeah, I've just filmed with her, so that's most of my experience.
As
a showrunner, I've worked with her as a producer. She's much more organized than I am, so we really needed her help, especially later on in the production process, because she and Joey are much more organized than I am. So I think we would have crashed and burned a lot sooner had Jordan not really jumped in.
Oh.
But
other favorite part about working with her is we're like the only two non-theater kids, so
it's don't even get me started on Joey and Olivia and Emily O'Keefe and Matt Island and Emily Klein, and they're all singing. And then you add in Theo and Helena.
And we're just like, stay away.
If there would have been any reason why we couldn't get this show done, it would be because of theater.
And all of the singing. And theater discourse.
And then not listening. Because you'll be like, hey, let's learn lines. And they'll just sing over you. Yeah. And then you'll be like, guys, we need to do this. Let's learn lines. And they just sing louder. Wait, tease us. Are you going?
I feel like I kind of just told this story, but I always remember this one time where we were filming at the school, and we were trying to get these scenes done, but the problem was randomly we didn't trip an alarm or anything, but for some reason the school was just screaming, like there was this high-pitched whirring coming from the school, so we were waiting for it to die down, so we were sitting there for like an hour, and then everyone else started talking about theater, and so I'm just sitting there but they kept going on and on about theater, and finally she left to go, schedule stuff to charge her phone, and then I went to see what was up with her charging her phone, and she was like scheduling, and I was just like, wow. And the two of us like stayed in the car, and eventually we like low-key were just like, hey guys, we're gonna leave now. Yeah. And they were like, oh cool, because they kept talking about theater, and the school would not stop screaming. I think the school was precognitive and it knew they were gonna start talking about theater and started screaming.
Yeah, the school was screaming because there was a bunch of kids singing, I don't even know what.
Probably Ada. I've never heard of it, but they keep bringing up Ada.
What? I thought that was a person.
First time we like filmed out here with Jordan, we were filming one thing and there were like, so there's a lake behind you, but there were like catfish, like the cattail reeds. And she like got them and was like throwing them around, so we were just having like a battle with like
I just don't recall.
cattail reeds.
I was not there.
That was a good time. The hat in the woods. We were trying to film like the
Oh,
wake up scene.
wait, was that?
Yeah,
What?
the
I
hat.
was
the
there.
hat, yeah,
I was there.
So that was a different time. But we
Oh,
were
I
trying to
wasn't
film
there.
like we were trying to film like the scene where we wake up in the very beginning and like Craig and I like the dream where they first appear, and like in the middle of it, like everyone's like, guys, I found a hat. But like before that,
me.
Jordan was also being like wild, so it was just like, that was a good time.
My favorite was the day where we filmed, like, I don't even remember how many scenes it was. It was so many.
35?
35? Was it 35?
Yeah, it was 35. Because I was watching Craig and Jordan's interview. It's 35.
Okay, 35 scenes at Craig's house, and she was there all day.
I remember, so one of the days that Jordan and I first filmed together, it was just the two of us. This is like really early on, and I know she talked about this in her interview too. Really early on, her and I, we ended up like going into the school. It was just the two of us. There was like, it was over the summer, so no one was in the building, and we were there for like 4 hours, 5 hours maybe, and we filmed like every scene from 103 and 104 that we were in. We filmed a ton of scenes in one day, and I just remember at the end we had one more scene to do outside. Yeah, and it started raining, and we're like, oh. And then we got locked out of the building, so it was like pouring, and we were under like this little. There was a back door that we went out, and there was like a little cover over the door, like that came out above like a little space of pavement or whatever to stand on. Yeah, and we were trapped underneath that thing for like 10 minutes as it poured, and the door locked when we went out.
Yeah,
that was a good time. There's actually footage of that somewhere.
Yeah.
This is Andrew and Sawyer trying to throw the rock throwing scene, trying to film the rock throwing scene, and it started raining.
Oh. What? We're stuck outside.
It's like pouring. Can we get in here?
No.
Oh, these doors are locked. It's pouring.
Fuck. It's 1 o'clock. Of course it starts raining right at 1. Yeah, that was a fun day. One of my favorite moments was Joey's first day on set. We were filming in the back of Lexi's house in the woods, and
Joey's first day on set was when he was like in the Clarksville Commons. So.
Oh, well, his first day with me on set. And Joey was just wandering around, and this is more about Joey than me.
Yeah, I know, it's
But, yeah, he found this baseball cap in the woods.
Oh, God.
And I was like, I forget what happened, but then he was so far away, I was like, run, Joey. So he just started running the other way. And I just kept telling him to run. And that was probably when Craig was done with us, because we were joking around that entire day.
Good friends, hard to find, let's face it. Buy the perfect home when there's a flood in the basement.
I think when she sasses Craig, like when she sasses Scout, like anytime Sawyer gets sassy, because she's normally just so sweet, she's like, I'm gonna try this, like maybe I can change her mind, like this is really important, and then all of a sudden she's like, hey, could you like not?
So my favorite part of Jordan's performance is that she plays this like goody two-shoes character, but she doesn't make it boring.
Yeah.
Like
Sawyer has a really, like this is not me shading the writing or anything, but characters like Sawyer have the very strong opportunity to be really boring.
Yeah, and
it's not written that way, because
makes
Sawyer is
not
interesting,
boring.
and Jordan also makes Sawyer not boring, yeah. So it's not written, like Craig's writing is always incredible. It's not written to be boring, but characters of that type can get boring even if the writing is good, and Jordan is not one of those people who does that thing. She manages to make it super interesting to watch her because she has so many secrets, and you're like, is she who she says she is?
Yeah.
She's a good sport about being roasted so much.
Every episode. It's every episode.
That's just because she lives with me, and my character roasts people.
Yeah, but also, like, I'm roasted by everyone. I think I'm roasted by Kurt a couple times.
But, I feel like she does a good job of being, of taking this whole wanting to be good and, like, do good things, and not making it as sickly sweet as, like, Scout necessarily finds it. Like, she grates on Scout, but for everyone else who's watching it, she doesn't necessarily grate on them. Like, she does these things, she's like, oh, I care about the earth, I want to do X, Y, and Z. And people watching it don't just go, boring. Like she sells it, and especially towards the end, she gets a lot better about portraying sort of the identity crisis and times at fast food restaurants and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that Jordan had a very, like I said earlier, she had a very interesting, like she added a lot of levels to the character that weren't necessarily, because like on paper the characters are only so deep, so it comes to like the actors to add certain aspects to it, and I think she added this curiousness to what's her name, Sawyer, curiosity, whatever, to Sawyer, and Sawyer became like she became one of the characters that was like on the forefront of always trying to figure shit out, and she like seemed, I don't know, smart.
Yeah.
It's really hard for me to talk about this without being spoilery, so I'll try my best. There is a bit in 107 where her first scene in 107, and she just does this massive bluff thing. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
107.7. It is so funny, and I love Jordan. She just does just the way she says certain words, like, but she's like just like trying to be like, rawr, I am scary, and it's
when you're like so into Jordan's performance, you aggressively knock over a lamp.
but she's like being all rawr while not really being intimidating, and it's just so funny.
I can't tell my favorite part of my performance, but my favorite thing to do was, I won't spoil, but at one point I had to fake cry. And I'm proud that I actually accomplished fake crying. It was pretty great. Me and Joey had to fake cry.
Paid a couple dollars down, I'm trying to chase it.
Give a smile
Kids
for the
from
camera.
Oklahoma, man, we don't waste it. I'm just trying to paint the
You're
picture
disgusting.
for me. Something I could give a damn about in maybe 40 years. And I've been ready and willing and able to edit the story.
And my favorite scene with Sawyer or Jordan, doesn't really matter.
They're the same person.
Same person, wild. Is where she does a lot of powdered sugar.
And it was supposed to be an infinitesimal amount. Emily! It says in the script, just an infinitesimal amount.
Of powdered sugar.
It involves knives and drugs. Lots of drugs.
But my favorite scene of Sawyer's is actually the one where she is in, so she takes a thing that puts her in a different place. And just that scene to shoot with her and Matt in that different place was so cool. It was a double action scene.
Or one of my favorites. I'm sure there are other ones. Let's just say we were throwing things at each other.
Oh, that one.
Ours involved running, which doesn't necessarily narrow it down a lot, but we
I don't even know what
and
scene
I
you're
was
talking about.
I was holding a very heavy book, and
Oh yeah,
That
that's
was
a great
fun.
one. There's a lot of those scenes for me.
There's one at the library where you and Sawyer, or you and Jordan, were like, I don't know, can you find a thing? Well, I don't know. Do you know where you're going to go to? I don't know. And you just go back and forth like 6 times. That was fun.
Actually.
People here to be so damn
I thought you
lonely.
said sing.
Can I get a connection? Can I get a connection? Can I get a connection?
Jordan was like, I think the first person besides Kristen and I who we cast, and it's been really cool watching her sort of like become Sawyer more and like become such a good like part of the casting crew and like good actress, and she's just like low-key over time becoming like this really like power member of the whole thing.
As somebody who I'd never seen act before, she does
Yes, I
an incredible
agree.
job. I mean, I was blown away. Granted, I'd never seen Kristen act before too, but just because of her nature and her ability to impress no matter what she does, I sort of expected that she would do a great job. Jordan, I didn't know really anything about before 2 started, and especially not as an actor. So
Same.
I didn't really know what to expect from her, and she blew us all away.
Okay, so I met Jordan close to the last person I met on 2, but she's always been super chill, and it was really cool to get to work with her. And my favorite thing is that Joey and I we both love Newsies, and so we would sing Newsies while we were waiting for her to show up. And so she would be sitting in my car, and she would drive up, and we would roll down the windows and just go, "Now is the time to seize the day," and like stuff like that, just to mess with her. And she's not a theater person, so she would just be like, "Freaking theater kids," and it was just really fun for me to just like coast past her and be like, "Stare down the odds and seize the day." And so yeah, getting to mess around with her was really fun, and I love her prop car, and I love how organized she is and all that sort of thing. And so
Yeah,
that's really
Jordan,
cool.
my final thing about Jordan is this bitch has her shit together.
Yeah,
I mean,
like she's
she just puts a lot of herself, a lot of her goofy self into Sawyer and makes her such a lovable character.
Yeah, I agree. And but it's again, she doesn't completely make Sawyer just her. Like she thinks about, okay, how would I react in this situation? I'm sure that's how she channels herself into it.
That's all the questions that actors have to ask, and normally it takes a little bit to learn that, but she's just clicked. She's almost a natural.
Kudos to Jordan, honestly.
I will say that it was a lot of fun playing Sawyer. It's actually gotten me really into filmmaking, and I'm just glad I could be a part of 2 and be a reliable member part of 2.
No shade.